You've likely seen it happen. A simple workplace decision, something that should be straightforward, spirals into weeks of discussion. It's a common source of frustration. But the reason for this delay is often misunderstood. It isn't necessarily a failure of the system, but a direct function of it. Take something as simple as choosing a new font for a project. On the surface, it seems trivial, but a small choice like this can easily set off a chain reaction of multiple meetings, long debates, and a drawn-out search for the perfect option. From the outside, the whole process can seem to defy logic. It's easy to look at it and blame it on people being indecisive. But the real root cause often isn't about the individuals at all. It's found in the very structure of the system they're operating in. To understand why this happens, we have to look at a fundamental pressure that exists inside many organizations. In many work environments, there is a strong underlying incentive to make choices that are, above all else, defensible. This means that every decision, no matter how small, has to be justifiable with objective data, all to minimize any perceived risk. This pressure creates a search for an optimal decision. This is a choice that looks perfect on paper. It's supported by extensive data and carries no obvious downside. The system itself actually encourages this search, even for minor issues. The pursuit of an optimal, risk-free outcome leads to a search for information that just keeps expanding. In order to defend a choice, you have to analyze it from every possible angle, which requires gathering more and more data. But a paradox starts to emerge from this process. The more information that's gathered, the more alternatives and variables tend to appear. The search for clarity often ends up producing even greater complexity. This creates a kind of self-perpetuating cycle. Gathering information reveals new options, which then require more information to evaluate. This process of continuous analysis can postpone the final selection indefinitely, effectively paralyzing the outcome. This tendency toward exhaustive analysis is intensified by the way accountability is structured within the organization. To reduce the risk for any single individual, responsibility for a decision is often spread across multiple people, teams, or departments. That way, if a choice leads to a negative outcome, no one person has to bear the full responsibility. So, a decision must often pass through a formal chain of approvals. First, a team review, then a manager's approval, then it goes to the department head, and finally, a sign-off. Each one of these stages represents a potential point of friction and delay. As a result, the focus tends to shift, making the actual choice become secondary to ensuring all stakeholders have provided their input and consent. The primary goal changes from making a good decision to achieving full consensus. This illustrates a core trade-off. On one side, you have speed, making a quick decision. On the other, you have shared risk, ensuring no single person is accountable. The organizational structure is often set up to prioritize distributing that risk over the speed of execution. Progress slows because the system is designed to protect individuals. This system of shared risk is further reinforced by the quiet accumulation of internal rules and procedures over time. Organizations tend to develop new rules and processes incrementally. Very often, a new rule is created in response to a single past error, as a way to prevent that specific mistake from happening again. Now, while any single rule, if you view it on its own, may seem perfectly reasonable, their combined effect is what creates significant organizational complexity. The accumulation is what causes the friction. For example, a process might begin as a simple principle. An initial guideline might just trust an employee's judgment to keep travel expenses reasonable. But after an issue arises, specific constraints are added. The guideline gets revised to remove ambiguity and control outcomes, now requiring pre-approval for flights and hotels. Over years, this continues until the final procedure becomes this dense web of requirements. Now you need pre-approval, designated vendors, and itemized physical receipts. It all becomes mandatory. Complying with this accumulation of well-intentioned roles inevitably slows down even the most straightforward of tasks. The system's own history begins to weigh on its present. So, when the pressure for defensible choices, the distribution of accountability, and the accumulation of rules all combined, they produce a logical and observable outcome. The process of making the decision becomes more important than the decision itself. Success gets redefined as successfully navigating all the procedures, securing all the approvals, and complying with every single rule. So, the delay we observe is not a flaw in the system. It's a feature.
The system is functioning as it was designed to produce predictable, low-risk outcomes. And the price of that stability is speed.